In the following verses, verse 11 to 13, we're going to see that Paul is jumping back to these Judaizers again and what they're actually busy with. He was just busy telling the people, continue in the good news and in all of that. Now, he just quickly jumps back, and it's almost as if in this letter, he just realized there's something else I need to say about these Judaizers. Because they came and they are deceived and so forth, and they're coming with the wrong message and everything. But he also believes that some of this is willful. And it is because they are afraid of persecution. And that is what this is all about. This verse connects with verse 4. Now, before I read this slide to you, I just want to read verse 4. It says, "But let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone and not in another." Remember what we said? We said that when you prove your own work, in other words, when you believe in the good news and you believe in the grace of God and bring that forth as the only truth in your life, you will see a fruit coming forth from that, and your joy will be in yourself. In other words, in Christ in you, that is bringing forth fruit in your life, and your rejoicing will not be, remember what we said, he was talking about the Jews. You will, these people that are Judaizing, your rejoicing will not be in how many people you get to follow you or what a great work you've done for Judaism in the earth in getting the church to be circumcised. That is what he is saying here. Now, let us read from verse 11. He says, "You see how large a letter I have written unto you with my own hand. As many as desire to make a fair show in the flesh, they constrain you to be circumcised, only lest they should suffer persecution for the cross of Christ. For neither they themselves who are circumcised keep the law, but desire to have you circumcised, that they may glory in your flesh." Now that is something that I cannot but think of Paul rebuking Peter, and where he said to him, "You that live after the manner of the Gentiles, why are you getting the church and people to be circumcised now, and to live according to the law which you don't do yourself?" And I see that in verse 13 there. And verse 12, Paul comes and he just basically says, these people are afraid of preaching that you don't have to be circumcised, lest they be persecuted. He says, only lest they should suffer persecution for the cross of Christ. So he basically says these people are doing what is called persecution management. They are managing their persecution by going back to a law system, and now they cannot even do the law, meaning they are not sharing in the life of God, and this whole thing is just a big mess up. Verse 11 is powerful in this sense that he says, "Look, you see how large a letter I have written unto you with my own hand." Some people say Paul wrote in very big letters because he had bad eyesight. I don't know how you get there. I would just say that means that, do you see how large this letter is that I have written unto you? Do you see how great what I am writing unto you is, and that I've done it with my own hand? It is just him saying, listen, I've gone through a lot of effort writing this to you, showing you the integrity of my heart. My heart is right before you. And the moment he says that in verse 11, he's seeing himself as a preacher with a message towards the people in Galatia. And then in the back of his mind is immediately the thing, there are other people that is also writing letters to these people. There are other people also preaching here. And these are the people of the circumcision, Christians of the circumcision, coming and preaching here. There might have been just Jews that are simply just Judaizing and that are not Christians, that wanted to get the Christians back into Judaism. But the main thrust here in Galatians is Christian Jews that wanted to get the people back. And we have established that over and over and over. He sees them and he says, listen, the reason why they want you to get circumcised is not because God has sent them. It's not because it is the truth. It's so that you can affect them. Meaning is that they can make glory in your flesh. And you see how verse 4, where it says that your glory will not be in another, is exactly what he's talking about here with the Judaizers. With the Judaizers, he says that they gloried in your flesh. They are glorying in the fact that they have now made disciples of you and is basically getting the whole Jewish nation to become bigger and the central thing now. That's where they're glorying in a system and in the growth of a nation. But you that believe in the truth, you are glorying and you are happy for what God actually effortlessly brings forth in your life. So, in conclusion, verse 11 to 13 is simply Paul saying, my passion is really for you guys, and these people that want to make a fair show in the flesh, these Judaizers, they just do it because they are scared of persecution, and they're into this thing for self-gain and nothing else. Well, that is Galatians 6, verse 11 to 13.